This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, I'll explain that when I explain you about your this thing, but I want you all to know, or apart from Debanshu, can somebody explain me what is ROC curve apart from Debanshu? Bharat, Lahari, Megha, Neha, Sanjay.
The curve that is plotted between the true positive rate and the false positive rate.
Yes. Then I gave you one question also, right? When I plotted that curve, the curve was looking like this. The curve was looking like this. What is this area called as? What is this area called as?
area under curve.
Yes, area under the
AUC.
So
yes AUC. So when you are
it,
talking,
it is
this is not FPR. Debanshu, this is called as your area under the curve. Area under the curve, AUC. So if they ask you
it,
how do you measure the performance of logistic regression, first thing is you can tell it with respect to confusion matrix, and second thing you can tell with respect to your ROC curve. In your ROC curve, we have two components. One is your false positive rate,
true
and another one
positive.
is
True
true
positive.
positive rate. So this indicates that this particular curve indicates the majority of your maximum area should be under this curve. If your curve is like this, if your curve is like this, means your there is minimum area under this curve. So that is the reason this is not a good model. So if this is your model, it looks like this, the maximum area is under this curve, so this is
Good.
your best model. So this is called as your ROC curve. So when I explain your implementation of your Python code with respect to
ROC.
logistic regression, I'm going to explain you that ROC curve and AUC, area under the curve. So ROC curve, what is the full form of ROC?
Receiver operating characteristics.
Okay. AUC,
Area
area
under
under
curve.
the, yes, area under the curve should be
Accuracy.
always maximum. So area under the curve should be always maximum. This is not even maximum. And if you get a curve like this will be a good curve.
It
This
will
will be
measure
your,
the so it will measure the quality of predictor algorithm.
yes, to measure the performance of logistic regression, either you go with ROC curve or you go with confusion matrix. So there is one more term called as cross table matrix, which is same as your confusion matrix. Remember, cross table matrix. Cross table matrix. This also looks similar to this confusion matrix.
0, 1, and 1.
Yes, it is something like 0, 1. Here also it will be 0, 1. Here also it will be 0, 1. That is either called as cross table matrix, or you can call it as confusion matrix. Okay, so today we'll try to learn about a new topic called as clustering. So this clustering is also called as, with respect to business analytics or data science term, it is called as segmentation. So before explaining this segmentation, I have two topics to talk. One topic, and especially under that we have two topics to talk on that. So I'm just going to brief about that. Data mining. So data mining deals with always with respect to your historical data, always with respect to your historical data. And under data mining, we have two broad classifications. One is called as your supervised learning, and another one is called as unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning. So as the name itself says, supervised learning, it doesn't mean that it is having supervisor or something. So supervised learning says that it is your output variable is known, your y is known before and. So consider that in your waist circumference and your fat data, adipose tissue data. So we came to know that your output was also there. Your output was also there. So if you're having so and so waist circumference, you predicted that based on your existing fat. Your output is known beforehand. When it comes to your cars, miles per gallon, you had MPG output and HP, volume, SP, and weight. So here also you try to identify your miles per gallon based on all this input variables. Based on all this input variables. So when it comes to your supervised learning, your output will be known prior. Your output will be known prior. Based on that, you're going to say that it is your supervised learning. So when it comes to your unsupervised learning, your output will not be known. Your output will not be known in the sense, for example, you're having 200 students. For example, you're having student 1, student 2, student 3, student 4 until student 200. You want to identify which student has scored first class, which student has scored second class, which student has scored distinction, which student has failed. So these are your different clusters. Cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 4. Do you know which student has scored distinction now? By seeing this data, can you tell me which student has scored distinction? No, right? So
No.
your output is
Unknown.
not known or unknown. That is the reason it is called as your unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning. Under supervised learning, we have techniques like your regression and your classification algorithms such as logistic regression, decision trees, KNN, naive Bayes, like this. So these are your some of the supervised learning technique, because you know your output, your y is known. Your y is known. When it comes to unsupervised learning, we have some techniques called as clustering, dimension reduction techniques, and association rules, and we have some other techniques. We are going to discuss about clustering today. We have completed regression and one classification algorithm, that is your logistic regression. Today we are going to discuss about a topic called as clustering. This is also called as segmentation. We'll try to complete the theory part with respect to segmentation today. In tomorrow's session, we'll try to implement segmentation or clustering part. So primary objective behind clustering. Primary objective behind clustering is cluster analysis. Data segmentation is an exploratory method for identifying homogeneous groups. What do you mean by homogeneous groups? What do you mean by homogeneous groups?
Group of same category.
Yes, group of similar records. You can call it as same characteristics, right? So cluster analysis is nothing but it is an exploratory method of identifying homogeneous groups. For example, I told you, right, 200 students are there. I want to form all the first class students into this group. All the first class. The first class is your character now. And here only distinction. Here only failed student. Here only second class student. So this is one cluster. This is another cluster. So it's an exploratory method of identifying homogeneous groups. Means your first class group, distinction group, failed group, and second class group. So that is called as your cluster analysis. Similar records should be belonging to the same cluster. All the first class students should belong to one cluster, that is first class cluster. All the failed students should belong to failed cluster. All the distinction students belong to distinction cluster. And dissimilar records should belong to different clusters. If this is your first class cluster, dissimilar records means other remaining first failed students, distinction students, second class students, all should belong to dissimilar cluster. That is the objective of your clustering. That is the objective of your clustering. Clear for everyone what is the primary motto behind clustering?
Yeah.
And remember one thing, clustering is unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning because you don't know your output. You don't know your output. Now coming to the next topic, so not this one. So where all clustering can be implemented. So clustering is not only with respect to only one domain or two domain, it is approximately all the industries. For example, tell me banking industry. So in banking industry we have different customers, right? Savings bank account, fixed deposit account, RD account customers, or you can call with respect to loan customers or any other customers in bank. SB account, FD account, RD accounts, loan accounts, customers are there. So this belongs to one cluster like this. If you come to bank's credit cards division, you have platinum cards, you have titanium cards, we have silver cards, gold cards, right? All the customers will be having different customers groups will have different credit cards like this. So if you come to your insurance department, you have money back plan, endowment plan, that plan, this plan, term insurance, like this you will be having multiple clusters. So your clustering is a part of your all the industries, all the domains. You can tell that your clustering is present. So cluster securities based on financial performance of like info such as return, volatility. If you're into stock market or mutual funds investment, you'll come to know that based on your mutual funds, you can invest in large cap funds. Have you heard about this? Mid cap funds, micro cap funds, small chip funds, ELSS funds. Like this you can implement, or you can have multiple groups of customers or multiple group of clusters with respect to your investment categories. Industry analysis. For a given industry, cluster firms based on growth rate, profitability, market size, product. For example, if you're investing in stock market, there might be different categories of stock markets: banking stocks, chemical stocks, engineering stocks, hotel industry stocks, and these companies are also based on small scale industries or mid cap companies or large cap companies. Like this you'll be having based on their market size or based on their product range, like different pharma companies, hospital industry, Apollo hospitals, Manipal hospitals. Like this you have different companies and different markets. Based on this areas international markets, your industry analysis will be done. That is called as your clustering. Simple clustering 1 to 2 variables. So if you just see this data, visual inspection of data, how many clusters can we form just by seeing this?
4.
4.
4 clusters. You can form only 3 clusters, right? This is best. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How did you form 5 clusters based on colors you form?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, rather that is also possible. You can form this as one cluster, this as one cluster. You can form in this way also. So if you're having only 1 to 2 variables, easily you can cluster based on this type of visualization. But if you're having more than 2 variables, if you're having more than 2 variables in the sense 2 columns, then more than 2 means at least you should have minimum 3. In that case, you should go for compute multivariate distance between records and group the close records. So what do you mean by multivariate distance? What is multivariate distance?
Variance between the records.
Yes, you need to identify the distance, not variance. It is nothing but your distance. So can somebody tell me, if you are freshers or if anyone remembers, what is distance formula? What is distance formula? In your 12th standard you might have studied. What is distance formula? No one remembers?
Between 2 points.
Yeah, square root of x2 minus x1 whole
Square root
square
of
plus
x1
minus
minus
x1
x1
whole
y2 minus
square
y1
plus
divided
y2 minus y1 whole square.
y2 minus y1
Okay.
whole square. So this
Square
is your
root over.
distance formula. Yes, this is your distance formula. So this distance formula is called as which distance formula? There's one name for this, right?
Distance between 2 coordinates, right?
No, that is what the name. The name. It is called as. You remember now? Euclidean distance. Euclidean distance. So the formula, whatever I've written was, that is the reason it is called, that formula is called as Euclidean distance formula. So you need to calculate the distance, that is multivariate distance between the records, and you should group the closest records and group records to increase within group homogeneity. So if you need to calculate the closest distance, you need to form them as into one cluster, and that should increase the group homogeneity. If these 3 belongs to one cluster and these 2 belongs to one cluster, this should follow group homogeneity. So let us try to understand. Under clustering, there are 2 types of clustering techniques. One is called as hierarchical clustering and another one is called as non-hierarchical clustering. We'll try to understand those things. There are 2 types of clustering algorithm techniques, which is called as your hierarchical methods, and your hierarchical clustering will look in this way. There is an hierarchy here. You can see that there is some hierarchy, so that is the reason it is called as hierarchical clustering. And if you see this below one, this is called as your non-hierarchical method, and because you cannot see any tree like structure or any hierarchy here, that is the reason it is called as non-hierarchical clustering. Non-hierarchical clustering. And let us try to understand about this hierarchical clustering first, and later when we start implementation of hierarchical clustering, and once we complete that, we go for non-hierarchical clustering. What do you mean by hierarchy in general? Forget about clustering. What do you mean by hierarchy in general?
Relationship will be
order.
maintained.
Huh?
Relationship will be
It's a
maintained.
parent-child relationship.
You cannot. Okay, fine. Apart from that,
Order. Sequence.
order, sequence, then it is something like your organization structure, right?
The
Your
family
employees
structure.
or family structure. You can call it as family structure or organization. Employees, project managers, senior managers, delivery managers, and all belongs to company. All belongs to company. So this is your hierarchical clustering because it is in the form of tree-like structure. So what we have to do here is we'll try to understand how this has been formed. See, this is your records, individual records, A, B, C, D, E, F. And we'll try to calculate the distance between AB, AC, AD, AE, and AF. AB, AC, AD, AE, EAF. You need to calculate the distance between all these. Not only this, you need to calculate between BC, BD, BE, and BF, and CD, CE, CF, DE, and DF. So once you calculate the distance between all the pairs, whichever is having minimum distance, that should be formed as one cluster. So in our case, this BC and DE is having minimum distance. So that is the reason these two are formed as one cluster. Now we don't have this B and this C, this D and this C. So this BC and DE is not there. Now we are having only A, this one,
BC,
DE, and F. So next time you need to calculate the distance between A, BC, A,
D,
DE, A, F. Next is BC, DE,
D,
BC,
BC, I,
F, F, and next DE, F.
Yeah.
You need to calculate the distance like this. So in the next iteration, you'll feel that DEF is close to each other. You'll get it as 1.2 and remaining you get it as 1.5, 2, 3, 4. So which one is having least? DEF is least. So you'll form this as one cluster. Now DE is not there, this is not there, this is not there, this is not there, and these two are first of all not there. So you are left out with only these three: A, B, C, D, E, F. Now you need to calculate the distance between A, B, C, A, D, E, F, A, D, E, F, and next B, C, D, E, F. You need to calculate. In this case, you will feel that this one is 1.1 and remaining are 2 and 3. Which one is having minimum distance here? BC and DEF is having minimum distance. This will form as one cluster. This will form as one cluster, and ultimately you are left out with only this and this. So ultimately it can form one big cluster. Ultimately it can form one big cluster. This is how your hierarchical clustering works. This is how your hierarchical clustering works. Clear for everyone? Clear for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let us try to go with respect to this tree-like structure. This tree-like structure is there, right? This hierarchy-like structure. This is called as your dendrogram. This is called as dendrogram. So hierarchical clustering, this dendrogram is nothing but tree-like diagram that summarizes the clustering process is called as dendrogram. So this picture is the right tree-like structure. This is called as dendrogram. So similar records are joined by links. See here, this 1 and 2 is similar. So that is the reason this is joined by this particular link. This particular link, if you hold this, your 1 and 2 is being connected to each other. If you hold this, which two are forming cluster?
Yeah.
It is 4 and 5. It is 4 and 5. If you hold this,
3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5 is formed as one cluster. 3, 4, 5 is formed as one cluster, and record location determined by the similarity to other records. Means if they both are similar to each other, this is formed as one cluster. If these two are similar to each other, so this is formed as one cluster, and this is having similarity between, it will check with respect to this and this. If it is having minimum distance between any of this, it will form as one cluster with them. So your 3 is close to 4 and 5. So this is formed as one bigger cluster. One bigger cluster, and this part is the right on y-axis. This is nothing but your distance. This is nothing but your distance. Now let me write it like this. Let me write it like this. Totally you're having 5 records. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll calculate the distance between 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 3, 4, 3, 5. So 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. Then 3, 4, 3, 5. Then
4, 5.
4, 5. So you're going to calculate the distance between all of these things. Between all of these things. So consider that your distance is here 0, 1, 2, 3. I got a distance between 1 and 2 as 0.8. 0.8. Remaining is greater than this. Remaining all are greater than this. So I'll form 1 and 2 as one cluster. This is your 0.8. 0.8. I'll form this 1 and 2 as one cluster. Now I'll name this cluster as cluster A. Now I'm name this cluster as cluster A. Now you don't have 1 and 2, you're having A cluster and remaining is 3, 4, 5. So you will compare with A3, A4, A5. And next, come on.
A4, A5.
Already A4, A5 I have written. Next,
3, 4, 3, 5.
yes, it is nothing but your 3, 4, 3, 5. Next,
4, 5.
yes, 4, 5. You'll calculate the distance between all these things. In the next iteration, you'll feel that 4 and 5. You'll feel that 4 and 5 is getting 1.2 and remaining all are 1.5, 1.3, 1.8, 2.2 like this. So which one is least? Now 4 and 5 is least. 4 and 5 is least. So you'll form these two as one cluster. You can see here. You can see here. This is formed as one cluster because it is 1.2. I've written it as. See, this two is formed as one small cluster next. Now you don't have 1, 2, 4, 5. You're having 1, 4, 5 as one cluster and 1, 2 as one cluster. And middle there is one record called as 3. So you calculate the distance between this and this, then this and this, and then between this. Sorry, only 2 iterations, right? 1, 2, 4 and 5. You're left out with only 3. You'll calculate the distance between this and this, then between this. So you'll feel that 3 and 4, 5 is close to each other, and you're getting it between 1, 2 and 3, you are getting it as 2.5 something, for example. And between 1, 2 and 4, 5, you are getting it as 2.2. And between 3 and 4, 5, you are getting a distance of 1.5. So which one is least now? So 3 and 4, 5 is least. So I'm going to add this 3 and 4, 5 with your existing cluster 4 and 5. So this cluster 3, 4, 5 is formed as bigger cluster. So I can name this as electronics and electrical cluster, and this one I'm going to name it as computer science cluster. Clear for everyone? If you are having any questions, you can ask me.
Till how many number of cluster we end, Yogesh?
Till how many number of clusters, that I'll explain you. See, consider that you need to come up with a formula. I'm going to explain you that. So if you want to determine how many clusters you want, really simple question I'm going to ask you. If you have 100 students in a college or in a somewhere, how many clusters you need? How many clusters do you need if you're having 100 students?
That depends on age, depends on depends on.
Forget about age and all. I'm not giving you any condition. For 100 students, how many classrooms do you need? Forget about clusters now. How many classrooms you need?
One class.
So,
1 or 2.
Yes. Okay, let me keep it as 2 class. That is feasible, right? I can have 2 classrooms. One is computer science classroom, 50 students. Another one is electronics, 50 students. This makes sense?
yeah.
Yes. So you should make sense. If you're having 100 records, I should form some number of clusters. So for 100 students, will you be able to do 25 clusters? Will it make sense?
No.
You can make it, but
No.
it is a costlier process, right? For 100 students, you cannot build 25 classrooms. For each and every classroom, you cannot put 4 students, right? It is a
Yeah.
costliest process. It is a costliest process. In order to determine how many clusters you need, you should use a formula called as square root of n by 2. Square root of n by 2. Write down this formula. In order to determine the number of clusters, there is a formula called as square root of n by 2.
N is a number of observations.
Yes, obviously.
Yogesh,
Yes.
clustering we are going to do with respect to the individual inputs or the entire data we are going to take and we are going to make this
Entire
kind of
data you need to do. Entire data.
irrespective of what kind of the data can be of any uh, I mean in any type.
It means you mean to have a continuous or discrete, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Apart from this formula, we have something called as elbow curve. Elbow curve, and that is another method to determine how many clusters you need, but the easier way is to remember square root of n by 2. So consider that you are having 100. Square root of 100 is 10. 10 by 2 is 5. 10 by 2 is 5. You can have in this way. So there is something called as elbow curve. Elbow curve, I'm going to show you that elbow curve also. It determines how many clusters you need. How many clusters you need. So that we are going to discuss with respect to your, you can call it as non-hierarchical clustering. Non-hierarchical clustering. Now hierarchical clustering algorithms, same, start with n number of clusters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step 1, two closest records needs to be merged into one cluster. This 1 and 2 are formed into one cluster because they are close to each other. At every step, a pair of records or clusters with small distance are merged. So first option is two records are merged, one option. Or single record can be added to an existing cluster. See, this 3 is been added to an existing cluster of 4 and 5. This is second option. There is one more option. Two existing clusters can also be combined. For example, this 4 and 5, 3 is there, 1 and 2 is there. Suppose if 1 and 2 is closest to this, you can form it as 1, 2, 4, 5 as one cluster and 3 is left out. 3 is left out. Like this also you can form your clusters. Like this also you can form your clusters. And the important part is your y-axis. Y-axis is nothing but your distance. Y-axis is nothing but your distance. So requires a definition of distance. Requires a definition of distance. Consider this as your student 1, student 2, student 3, student 4 and student 5. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is your college chairman and this is your HOD and this one is nothing but your class teacher. Class teacher, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students. So does chairman knows each and every student in a classroom?
No.
No. So the distance between students and chairman is how much?
Less.
No, it is more, right?
More.
Yeah.
Students and chairman is 3. I've written it as 3. So now does your HOD knows each and every one, each and every student?
No.
Some.
Few
Very
students,
less,
maybe.
hardly some 10% or 20% students will be known in each and every class for your HODs. So your student and HOD, what is the distance?
2.
2. 2. Now
Okay.
coming to your class teacher. So does your class teacher knows each and everyone in this class?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, obvious, right? So the distance between your class teacher and your student is how much?
1.
1. So what does this indicate is, as and how your distance is decreasing,
Very close
distance
to
is
the
decreasing, similarity is
Increases.
increasing. Similarity is increasing. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes. If your distance is increasing, your similarity is
Decreases.
decreases.
decrease.
If your distance increases, similarity
Decreases.
decreases. Whereas your distance decreases, similarity increases. Similarity increases. So this is the definition of your distance. Now, distance between records, pairwise distance between records needs to be calculated like this. For example, there are two records. One is I and another one is J. So the distance between records I and J. So for example, I'm going to take it as your home and your office. Your home and office. So distance requirements is non-negative. So what is the distance between your home and office? If it is 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers or 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, you will be writing. Will it be -5 anytime, home to office? Distance cannot be negative. Distance cannot be negative. It should be always greater than 0 between I and J. I and
No.
J, the distance should be
Negative.
non-negative, should not be non-negative. Lahari, are you getting my point? This is distance between I and J should be non-negative, means it should be greater than 0. It should be greater than 0. And distance between your home, same point. What will be the distance between same point?
0.
0. It will be 0. And if you are writing it as symmetry, distance between your home to office is 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers. So from office to home, how much it will be?
Same 5.
5
Same 5
kilometers.
kilometers. Same 5 kilometers. It will not become -5 kilometers. It will never become -5 kilometers. And the third point is, last point is triangle inequality. I'm going to write one triangle and give some values. Tell me whether it is correct or not. That's it. I, J, K. I'm going to write it as 2, 3, 6. Is it correct?
No.
No.
Others?
No, cannot be.
Why?
Because the 2 and 6 is
Triangle
different.
on the side should be equal.
Same.
No, not like that. You should read this condition, Bharat.
Okay.
Read this and tell me whether it is correct, whatever I've written.
No, it's
No.
incorrect.
Yes, yes.
Because distance between I and J and K should be greater than equals to distance
that
between
is
I and K.
So the distance between I and J is how much?
2.
2.
It's
8. 3.
plus 3
2 plus 3.
That's
Greater
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 than or
than
equal
equals
to
to 6.
No.
Is
It
it
is wrong.
false? It is wrong.
Yeah.
Because
false.
5 is greater than or equal to 6, it is wrong.
Wrong.
So if I
False.
write it like this,
Now it is
Yeah.
correct.
Then it's okay.
now it is correct, because 5 is greater than 4 or greater than or equal to 4. That is correct.
Yogesh, once again, sorry for the interruption.
Yes.
See, here, one thing I'm not understanding is here, we know that we are going to get many of the inputs. Like input data will be of different kinds. We have some business input values, some clinical input values. So where this distance come into picture here?
No, once again, you can repeat your question.
Input can be of any business kinds. Like when we are analyzing the data of a clinical trial, so then the input can be of clinical trial inputs.
Yes.
Whether we need to predict that whether he's going to get a renal cancer or heart attack or
So
something.
that is different. That is different scenario. That is different scenario. This year you are doing a segmentation problem, Bharat.
Okay.
This is not your linear regression, neither your logistic regression. This is another algorithm called as clustering algorithm. Here, see, consider that you are having some thousands of patients. Okay, thousands of patients.
Okay.
And you want to identify which patient is belonging to cancer and which patient is belonging to diabetic, which patient is having some other, and which patient is having some other. So you want to identify out of 1,000 patients, which patient belongs to cancer patients data, and which patients belong to diabetic, which patients belong to something else. So you are not predicting here, you are grouping them into different clusters based on their data.
Yes, correct. But distance, how this distance come into picture?
So how distance comes into picture? How do you identify first patient is similar to second patient?
Depending on the characteristics of patient.
Yeah, depending on the characteristics of patient, right? But depending on the characteristics of patient, you should calculate the distance between them, right? I'll show you when I implement. I'll show you in the next coming slides. You are having that, Bharat. You'll understand easily there.
Okay.
Okay, now consider, Bharat, where do you stay in Bangalore?
Nagarbavi.
Nagarbavi. What about Lahari?
Mahadevpura, Marathalli.
Mahadevpura, Marathalli. Mega.
Bannerghatta. Pulimau.
Huh?
Pulimau, Bannerghatta.
Okay, Bannerghatta Road. So I stay at Vijayanagar, for example. Myself, I stay at Vijayanagar, for example. So now, Bharat, these are your data records, 4 records: Bharat, Lahari, Mega, myself, Yogesh. So this is our place. This is our place. Okay. Now you should calculate the distance between Bharat and Lahari, Bharat and Mega, Bharat and Yogesh. So Bharat stays in Nagarbavi. Nagarbavi and Mahadevpura, what is the distance? Approximately 25 kilometers.
Yes, maybe.
Yes. Nagarbavi and Bannerghatta Road?
Around 15.
15. Nagarbavi and Vijayanagar?
5 kilometers.
5 kilometers.
5.
Or 4, whatever it is. So whichever is having minimum distance now? Nagarbavi and Vijayanagar.
Yeah.
So now Bharat and Yogesh forms into one small cluster because they are very close to each other. They are belonging to South Bangalore. South Bangalore. Getting my point, Bharat, now?
Yes. Yeah. So while calculating the distance, the x and y axis will depend on the inputs that we are analyzing it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Yogesha, the characteristics, this is only they follow with the distance only, or any other characteristics also they'll follow?
Only main is distance. Only distance.
Yogesh, the data will be depicted as a graph, like a scattered plot or somewhere, and then you will group the data. Is that like that?
No. You will be forming a cluster based on the distance. First you'll calculate the distance. Based on distance, then you're going to build your dendrogram. This tree-like structure is there, right? Then you are going to build that dendrogram. That is called as your dendrogram. When we implement, you'll see all those things.
Example for the population data, Yogesh.
Yes.
So for example, you take as a whole India, the population. Yeah. So now we have the northern region, southern region, western region. So this is called, this is also the clustering.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You can form this as one cluster, right? For example, you belong to Andhra, you belong to Goa, you belong to Delhi, you belong to some West Bengal, like this. So whichever person belongs to this category will be formed into one. This will be one, this will be one, this will be one. Based on the distance. Based on the distance. Now, so let us take one example, simple example. UG business programs, universities clustering XLS dataset, and this dataset contains 25 undergraduate programs at business schools in US universities in 1995. So this is nothing but your university names. Brown University, Caltech University, CMU University, Columbia. These are your university names, and this is the different characteristics of your universities. So this SAT. So if you want to get into UG program in US, you need to write an exam and you should score SAT score. Like in your India, we write CET, right? CETs, right? So similar to that, we need to write SAT scores. So top 10. Top 10 means before getting into your UG programs, before your academics, previous academics, your Brown University will accept only if you are out of 89% of your top 10 students should be in top 10 in their previous academics. And then Caltech University, if you want to get admission into Caltech University, 100% of the students should be in top 10 in their previous studies, like that. This is your top 10 ratio of the students. And the third is called as your acceptance ratio. What do you mean by acceptance ratio? Any idea?
Whether applications are successful or not.
Huh?
Whether
Acceptance
applications are
ratio.
successful or not.
What applications? You can tell it in this way. Out of 100 students are applying, only 22 students are getting admitted to Brown University. Only 25 students are getting admitted to Caltech University. Means this is the acceptance ratio of the college or the university. And this is called as SF ratio. SF ratio, any idea? Student faculty ratio. What is this 13?
For one faculty, 13 students.
For every 13 students, we have
one faculty.
Yeah.
One faculty. Now this is your expenses. Expenses is nothing but your tuition fees or college fees, you can call it as. College fees, this is not in rupees, this is in dollars. This is in dollars. Now this is the graduation rate. So Brown University graduation rate is 94%. Caltech University graduation rate is 81%. Like this, you are going to have the data. You need to classify out of these 25 universities, you should classify as top tier 1 universities. One group. Top tier 2 universities. Top tier 3 universities. Getting my point? Yes. So you need to form into 3 different clusters. For example, in your forget about your US. So in India only, let us go for Indian universities. All the IITs will come into tier 1. Next, NITs will come to tier 2. Then next, can you tell me? IITs are top 1. I'm talking about engineering college, Bharat. IIT, NIT, then Like your state regional engineering colleges, like your PESIT, RVCE, BMS, UVCE, like this colleges comes into
State.
tier 3 colleges. Then last is all the engineering colleges will come into all the tier 4. So like this, you should form this into different clusters, different clusters by implementing using your distance formula. So now I'll explain you how to calculate the distance between two universities. So distance between two universities, for example, I'm choosing Caltech University and Cornell University from your previous slide. So I'm choosing only this university and this university. I've taken these records. See, this is SAT score, top 10, student faculty ratio, acceptance ratio, graduation rate, and expenses. So this is your data. So I'm going to implement Euclidean distance, like x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1 whole square plus x2 minus x1 whole square plus z2 minus z1 whole square plus a2, because we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you should go until a2 minus a1, b2 minus b1 until this point. Until this point, as this is your 6-dimensional data, 6D data. Because you're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, this is your 6-dimensional data. So this is your Euclidean distance formula, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1. Like this, I'm going with respect to until and unless how many variables I'm having, so many long variables I'm having. So 6-dimensional Euclidean distance between Caltech and Cornell University can be calculated like this. Square root of x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1, z2 minus z1, like here SAT score minus SAT score whole square, top 10, acceptance ratio, student faculty ratio, expenses, graduation rate, expenses and graduation rate. So why we are getting a distance of so huge value? Can you tell me? Why the distance value is so high? The answer is on the slide itself. Try.
The fee,
Hmm?
the fees for first university and the second is more. The expense is more.
Because of this expense column, see 63,575 minus 21,000, because of this only one column, your distance is being increased to a greater extent. So increased to a greater extent. So before that, I want to ask you a question. So what is the unit of this? Units in the sense I'm talking about your SAT score. What is the SAT score units? It will be in numbers, right? And what about your top 10? It will be in percentage. Acceptance ratio will also be percentage. Student faculty ratio is also percentage. What about expenses?
Currency.
Currency.
Dollars.
It is in your dollars. It will be in your
Yes.
dollars. Graduation rate, again it will be in
currency.
Percentage.
graduation rate,
Percentage.
Percentage.
So one is in numbers, another 3 to 4 are in percentage, one is in dollars. So if you're having different units, what you should do?
Standardization.
Yes, standardization or normalizations we need to do. So what is the formula for doing standardization?
X minus mu divided by sigma.
X minus mu divided by sigma. X minus mu divided by sigma. So apart from that unit issue, we are also having scaling issue. See, this is in your thousands, and this is in your tens, and this is in your hundreds, and this is in your tens, and this is in your 10,000s, and this is again in your tens. So if you're having scaling issue, again what you should do? You should go for standardization. So standardization formula is x minus mu divided by sigma. So in this data, we need to go for standardization. standardization. So I'm going to reduce this all the values into standardized values. Then I'm going to calculate the distance. Standardized when there are multiple variables. Standardized when there are multiple variables. Standardized when there are multiple variables. So Euclidean distance is influenced by the units of the different measurements. Euclidean distance is influenced by the units of the different measurements. The solution is to standardize or normalize each variable before measuring the distance. So I'm just taking example of SAT score. SAT is x minus mu divided by sigma. X minus mu divided by sigma. So after doing your standardization, your values are being standardized. You can see expenses is also been reduced to your standardized values. All the values are standardized now. So you can see here Caltech and Cornell University values are standardized. I am going to calculate the distance between this and this university. So based on these standardized values, square root of x2 minus x1, like this, if I calculate, I'm getting a distance of 3.84 between Caltech and Cornell University. Earlier, how much I got? Before standardizing, what was the distance I got?
Very long digits actually.
It was 41,711 something, right? So now after standardization, your distance has been reduced to 3.84. 3.84 after standardization. So apart from your Euclidean distance, there are other distance measures also. There is something called as Mahalanobis distance. And this Mahalanobis distance is invented by a scientist or a statistician called as Prashanta Mahalanobis. So have you heard about ISI?
Yes.
Yes.
What it is?
Indian
Statistical Institute. So he is the founder of Indian Statistical Institute, Prashanta Mahalanobis. ISI's founder, he is the chairman, and he is a father of Indian statisticians. He is a father of Indian statistics. You can call it as father of Indian statistics. So this person has founded a formula. That is the reason that formula is called as Mahalanobis distance, which uses your correlation matrix. Means first you calculate the distance or correlation between all the variables like your SAT score, top 10, all the variables. Then using that you are going to calculate your distance. That is the reason it is called as Mahalanobis distance, which uses your correlation matrix. But in your real time, we don't go with this, neither this. This is another distance formula, which is called as Manhattan's distance formula. The Manhattan's distance formula is this: mod of x2 minus x1 whole square, x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1, like this. distance. So this is called as Manhattan's distance, and this is called as your Mahalanobis distance. But in generally, we don't go with either of these two because most of them are familiar in the industry is Euclidean distance. Euclidean distance. Clear? So what is Euclidean distance formula? It is simple: x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 whole square. x2 minus x1 whole square. So distances for mixed data, that is numerical data plus categorical data. Now you are having your university data set, right? University data set. Consider that after graduation rate, you are having one more column called as gender. This gender is male, female, male, male, or female like this. So if you're having this column, you should standardize or you should make it as 0 and 1. 1 for male, 0 for female. You should convert that into dummy variable. Dummy variable. So here it is a typing mistake. Don't get confused. Standardize numerical variables to 0, 1. It is wrong. So you should not standardize numerical variables to 0, 1, 1. It should standardize categorical variables or your discrete variables to 0, 1, 1. Then use the Euclidean distance for all. Then use the Euclidean distance for all. This is a simple method. See, I'm going to write like this. Consider 3 columns. I've written SAT score, graduation rate, and top 10. So this is 1,300. This is 20. Graduation rate is 80%. Top 10 is 85%. And this is 1,400. And this is 85. And this is 79. For example, this is called as Caltech University. This is called some other university. And you're having one more column called as gender. 1 as male, 0 as female. So I am going to implement Euclidean distance. You're getting my point, right? What I'm doing?
So this is more of a binary variable, right, Yogesh?
Yes.
Because we
yes.
only have two values. So
Yes.
if we
I'm
have
just
more than
writing
two values in
more than
okay.
2 values, you can give it as 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4 like that. Okay. Now consider
Right,
this only 1 and 0. So now 1,400 minus 1,300 whole square. 1,400 minus 1,300, 100 whole square plus
100.
85 minus 80,
5.
5 whole square plus 79 minus 85, minus 6 whole square, and 1 minus 0. 0 minus 1,
1.
0
0 minus 1 is
minus 1.
minus 1 whole square. x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1, z2 minus z1, a2 minus a1 whole square. Square root of 100 square is 10,000 plus 5 square is 25 plus 36 plus 1. So I need to calculate this 10,000 plus 36 plus 25 plus 1. So 36 plus 46, 56, 61, 62, 10,062. So if you calculate the distance square root of 10,062, you're going to get it as, you're going to get some value. That is the distance between these two universities. Got it? Got it? Clear
Yeah.
for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. So apart from this solution, this is a simple way to do
Yeah.
your distance calculation. Apart from this, they are having one more formula called as Gower's general dissimilarity coefficient. So by using this formula also you can do that, but there is an added disadvantage in this formula. So let me try to explain you what is the disadvantage there. Distances for mixed numerical data plus categorical data. So Gower's general dissimilarity coefficient formula is this. So distance between ij is w of ij, d of ij. Means if you're having gender column extra, you should not calculate this on Euclidean distance. And this is your SAT score and top 10. For example, I'll take only two columns with respect to numerical data: 1300, 1200, 80, 85, and this as male, male, female, male, something like this: 1, 1, 0, and 1. I'm going to replace with 1, 1, 0, and 1. So if you want to calculate the weight of IJK, W of IJK is nothing but usually 1 or 0, depending whether or not the comparison is valid for the kth variable. Means you are just comparing with respect to this, with respect to this. So before explaining this part, we need to understand about some other concepts also. So tomorrow I'm going to explain you about this concept. So if you're having multiple categories, just now somebody asked me a question, right? Now I wrote it as only male and female. So if you're having multiple categories, like let me have marital status, married, bachelors, anything else, widow, then
Divorced.
divorced. Yes, four categories we have. So if you're having same category, try to understand, if you're having same category, the distance will be 0. The distance will be 0. If you're having multiple categories, like different categories, one is married and another one is widow, there is a difference in category. If there is a difference in category, it is 1. If they are the same category, it is 0. If they are different category, it is 1. Getting my point? So consider this as your SAT score data. This is your top 10 data, and this is your marital status data. So this is your 1200, this is 1300, this is 1200, and whatever it is. Top 10 is 90%, 85%, 80%, and this is marital status. One is married, another one is also married, another one is widow. For example, I need to calculate the distance between these three universities. This is Caltech, Cornell, and Brown University, for example. So this needs to be replaced with weight of IJK. Only you should calculate distance provided by kth variable. Means this di of IJK is to be calculated only for your numerical data. And this weight is to be calculated for your non-numerical data. So I'm just going to write it as, I got a distance of IJK between Caltech and Cornell University for numerical data as, I'll take it as, I got it around 10.5. 10.5 is nothing but it is your D of IJK. Now I need to calculate W of IJK, weight of IJK. So consider the second one is widow, third one is married. Now. So if there are two different categories, if the categories are different for in marital status, both the records are having different status. So it is, the distance will be 1. Distance will be 1 if they're having different categories. So now I am going to replace here 1 as W of IJK, and distance of IJK is 10.5 divided by, again it is 1. What is your answer?
10.5.
It is just 10.5, because 10.5 into 1, 10.5 divided by 1 is 10.5. This is the distance between your Caltech University and Cornell University. Suppose instead of widow, if you have married, what will be your weight of IJK? If you're having same category, the distance will become 0. 0. If you're having same category, the distance is considered as 0. So in this case, your weight of IJK becomes 0. So 10.5 into 0,
0.
0, and anything divided by 0, it will be infinity or 0. So this is one of the disadvantage of using your Gower's general dissimilarity coefficient. Gower's general dissimilarity coefficient, but either rather than this, go with respect to this formula. This formula called as simple Euclidean distance. Simple Euclidean distance. This is better for any type of distance calculation. So this is the simple way to do your, yeah, yes.
How we got a 10.5 value in that example?
No, I just took an example, that's it. I wrote it as
Okay.
10,062, right? So just I randomly wrote it as 10.4, nothing else.
Okay.
Just wrote it as simply. For example, in order to explain, I took it as 10.5. But until and unless you calculate using your formula, you will not come to know what is the distance. What is the distance? In tomorrow's session, we are going to continue from this point, and tomorrow we'll be having 10 to 15 minutes of theory, and then we are going to implement hierarchical clustering. Hierarchical clustering, and we'll try to complete hierarchical clustering tomorrow. Clear?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yogesh.
Good night.